Good morning, Pa. Good morning. Good
Good morning.
morning.
Good morning, Sridevi.
Good morning,
Good
ma'am.
morning, students.
Okay. Good morning, everyone present over here. I welcome everyone for
Good
this
morning.
technical talk on biological perspectives of stress and resilience. Now I call upon Sharon Natasha to give the welcome address.
Science belongs to humanity and is a torch that illuminates the world. A very pleasant morning to one and all. The advancement and perfection of biology are intimately connected to the prosperity of the state. We know veritably that the science of today is the technology of tomorrow. Considering biology being the elite subset of science, we can potentially apprehend the trails which have been laid out for the transformation of civilization to its pinnacle. Not just that, biology in its own unique way is undeniably the poetry of logical ideas. Today we have with us Dr. Meera Murugesh ma'am, the Vice Principal and the Head of the Department of Biochemistry of the very prestigious Soka Ikira College of Arts and Science for Women, Chennai. Ma'am has completed her MSc, MPhil in biochemistry and she holds a PhD degree too. Her teaching expertise spans for a solid 23 years. Furthermore, she holds four splendid international publications in her name. She has been the question paper setter for various colleges. Moreover, as a feather on her cap, she is also the chairperson of the UG Biochemistry Board Valuation, University of Madras. She is also a profound academician and has served as an academic council member for 3 years in University of Madras. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am. Also,
Thank you.
I would like to very humbly welcome our HOD, Dr. Rajeshwari ma'am, our very devoted professors, and all my beloved friends. So I recognize that today's session is principally designed to enhance our knowledge on the biological perspectives of stress and resilience. And I'm sure that this session is going to be very elucidative and a treat to our eager ears and ardent minds indeed. I welcome you all to this plenary session once again. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Happy morning to all. Respected Dr. Rajeshwari Hari, ma'am, Head of the Department, Dr. MGR Educational Research Institute, and other faculty members, and my student friends. A very happy morning to one and all. At the outset, I like to thank the MGR, Dr. MGR Educational Research Institute and Rajeshwari ma'am for giving me this golden opportunity. So I think the whole world is now facing the crisis of COVID-19, as you all know. So we are all into a state of stress. So I thought, why can't we have a session on that? So to share few words about stress and its resilience. Okay, now shall we go into the presentation? Give me a minute, I'll present my presentation. Is it my slide visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible, ma'am.
Okay. So now, as we all life science students, I thought let it be a biological perspective of stress and resilience. So stress, what does it mean? It's not the stress that kills us. It is our reaction to it. That is how the way we respond. It is not the thing. It is just everyday life. Now, if you take even a kindergarten student to the old age people, everybody they are telling that we are stressed. So actually, it is a day-to-day life. We are facing many problems and many situations. So we have to adapt ourselves to face the challenges. So what is the biological definition of stress? It is an external stimulus, that is from external part, the stimulus arises. And how the way we react to it or we respond to it, that causes stress. And the association between the stimulus and the response totally occurs the stress. It can be of an environmental event. It can be of any stressor. Stressor refers to an agent which causes the stress. It is the judged by an individual. That is how it is, how the way they are, that perception of the stress, how the way they are judging, that causes the stress. And various responses of an individual and re-evaluations of all these response and the changes causes the stress response. Actually, a stress means it can be of a physical or it can be of a biological or it can be of a psychological response. So the word derived in 1935 from Hans, from a Latin word called stringere, means to draw tight. Whenever we are very tight, the pressure is upon us. So it can be either physical or mental energy. And what happens is that normally our body will be in a hemostasis. It will be in a balanced state. But when there is any disturbance in that particular balance, then that causes the condition called stress. So what causes stress? There may be many of reasons which can cause you stress. That is, many reasons may happen. Whether we are stressed or not, it depends upon the individual. For example, career concern. As a student, you will be wondering what to do next, what will be happen, what career we are going to choose, and other things. And role ambiguity. So we have in our life, we have everybody, we have some roles and responsibilities. That roles and responsibilities, whether will be what respond, the confusion among these responsibilities may cause it. And rotating work shifts, and that is working conditions. In working conditions, the shifts can change, that can cause role conflict. Upon the roles and responsibility, you may be a student to a teacher, and a father and a daughter to your daughter, or son to your parents, sister to your brother. But which role, for all the roles you have to play that finally. So that can cause an occupational demands and lack of participation in decision making. That is, whenever in a particular groupism and other things, when we are doing any task, the participation should be at the most, and the decision making should be prompt. So that can cause work overload. Now at this situation of pandemic, you will be only at the home, but you may have some works to do in an enormous condition that may cause stress. Work underload, even we don't have work. Many in the pandemic situation, many people say that they don't know what to do. So that can cause poor working condition. Environmental factors has much more importance in the stress. So lack of group cohesiveness in a particular team, all the members should have a good rapport. Otherwise, it can cause interpersonal and intergroup disputes. And particularly in an organizational changes, all organizations has one hierarchy. We have to report ourselves to other particular higher authority. In that sense, now any particular in the organization, any particular one person have been replaced by another, then that can cause a stress. Particularly lack of social support, which is very important. We are connected with the social network. So we are connected with the society. Only we can't be alone. So that social support, if they are lacking, then it can also cause stress. So what can trigger stress? It can be either external or it can be internal. For example, external, major life changes. What major life changes? For example, as a student, you will be in a state that you want to choose this for higher studies, but your parents may be in they may be having another decision, or otherwise, particularly the death of a dear ones or anything, an accident may cause a stress, or work, any kind of task can cause, and relationship difficulties. among the family, among the friends. Now, if we have any dispute, we can't sleep properly. So that can cause stress. Major one is our financial problems. And that too in pandemic, more members are suffering from this. And being too busy, it's not that even lazy, but too busy also can cause a stress without any lack of recreation or any other particular rest. And family, as I told you, the family consists of all members where wherever we go, at last we have to come to the family. So this particular family can also, family in the family disputes or any other can cause the stress from externally. Now internally, always we have a particular set of mind that is in all other things. So in this set of mind, if anything happens, unexpected things happens, then that can cause, we are not able to accept it. Pessimism. It is always about talking that is only bad things happens to me or worse things happens to me. I am the only person suffering from this. All are happy like that. Anything, no positive approach and negative self-talk. That's these can causes also. These are the internal things, unrealistic expectations. We have to live in the normal world, so we have to accept what are the things which we have been undergoing, and that can also cause stress. Perfectionism. Normally, people will be, no person are perfect, but when we are perfect and when we are want to be others also to be perfect, then that there arise problems and that can cause stress. And what can be the signs? How can you detect? See, whenever we are anxious, whenever we are worrying a lot, therefore, see, even a small things, even a very trifle things, when we are worried, it can cause irritation. And when we are irritated and we are unhappy, definitely there we can't sleep properly. And moreover, in that condition, in that gloomy condition, can we get happiness? No. You can't get happiness. Even a good things happen in our life, we won't be that much happy because we are already irritated. And all these things, stress is more related to our gastrointestinal tract. So stomach gets disturbed. You would have seen some persons, if when they are stressed, they won't eat at all, or otherwise some persons are there, they will eat more. In both conditions, stomach is upset. And normally when we are irritated or when we are depressed, we won't be in a condition to have a good relationship with others. So that also happens.
அம்மா அப்பா கடைக்கு போயிருக்காங்க.
So what is this stress response? So I already told you, stress is not what happened to us. It is not a thing that is happening to us. Anything, any unexpected thing can happen to us. For example, exams, continuous exams, or a loss of a job, or any neglection from others. These are the things can cause stress. But if we take it in a right sense, it is not stress. It is our response to what happens comes to the stress. So this response can be chosen by us, isn't it? That is, if we are not responding to what happened, whenever it happens, we are not saying that we can be calm in all situations, but we can try our level best to be calm and to analyze the situation and to react. And that case, we won't be stressed. So what happens actually when this particular stress happens in our body? Stress or any stressor encounters our body means, without our knowledge, the mobilization of energy resources occurs. And that's why the response occurs. Now, when a stress response happens, the first signal is given to the brain. And from the brain, there is a particular small part in the brain called amygdala. It gives the distress signal to the hypothalamus. And from there, it gives the signal to the endocrinological. And from there, it gives the stimulates the body conditions, and where the physiological changes occur. So what happens exactly? So what happens, as I told you, the brain from the brain the signal given to the hormones, and from there to the body, automatically what happens, the blood pressure increases. This blood pressure increases also increases the rate of the heart rate, whereas when these increases, the breathing, normal breathing becomes difficult. And out of all these things, as I already told you, the digestive system becomes ineffective. And not only this, the stress has more, that is, it is more associated with our immune system, where our immune system gets depressed. That is, immune system is not in a condition to work properly, and muscles becomes highly tensed, and all of this creates the sleeping disorder. So these reaction to stress can be either physiological, or it can be psychological, or it can be behavioral. For example, physiological, as I told you, since the hormonal increase is there, the high blood pressure, what I told you in the last slide is that I'm showing that high blood pressure, muscle tension, headaches, ulcers, immune system impairment, musculoskeletal disorders, heart disease, and cancer occurs. All these things is also influenced with the psychological problems like anxiety, fear, worriness, depression. Depression is what? Depression is somewhat mood change, gloomy mood. And whenever fear and gloomy mood occurs, normally people will think low about their thing. They'll think, I can't do this. I'm not efficient. I can't do this. I can't make it. So these kind of things will happen. And sleeplessness, frustration, all these, and including when all these happens, we won't be having a good rapport with our family or friends. And at last, total burnout. So it is a mentally, physically, total exhaustion occurs. That is called as burnout. And when these psychological and physiological changes occurs, because since the body condition physiologically it is not normal, it results in the behavior problem. So what does that do? The stressed people go for any particular excessive smoking, or any addiction to substance, or accident proneness. What does that accident proneness means? Any particular people, when they are stressed, since the brain and body condition will not be coordinating properly, they will be particular. What happens is they are susceptible to accident. They won't be careful enough, so they are prone to accident. And as I told you, appetite disorders will occur. All these totally causes a person to be violent. So it affects, as I told you, it affects many ways. Here I have taken three main things, that is body, thoughts, and behavior. Already I told you body, how it gets affected. But thoughts, that is thoughts have more influence on our normal body condition. If you have, that's why from the historically, from old age, they are telling we should have good thoughts leads to good action and good deeds. So when we are calm and when we are in a pleasant mood, we can do wonders. But when we have any disturbed thoughts, or when we are always thinking about anything worse to be happen, that thing causes our brain and body in the same condition. So always even the research has proved that thoughts can influence the brain cells. So thoughts, we should have good thoughts and good feelings. If you are always having ill thoughts and other things, the behaviorally you can see that in the behavioral also changes, and interaction with others gets worse. So at once when a stressor encounters a body, stressor means any particular unwanted things or unexpected things happen to us. The first reaction to be the blood vessels in the skin, muscles, brain, viscera constrict. Why does it happen? What happens is that the blood, it prevents the blood to that particular part, and it goes, the other particular part should be flooded with the blood, and so it constricts, and sweating increases as a defense mechanism. Goose pimples occurs, and these occurs due to the stimulation of adrenal glands, by which hormone adrenal secretes a lot. and as a defense, anal sphincter and urinary sphincter closes. Not only this, the stress has the influence on other organs of the body. For example, brain, if you take, the action of the brain becomes dull. That is, it cannot work properly. It cannot coordinate. When it cannot coordinate with the body and other things, it reduces concentration and it reduces the mood change. Mood change occurs. One day, morning they'll be good, afternoon they'll have an ill effect like this. So, heart. As I already told you, there will be increased blood pressure, which increases the heart rate. And gut is the important part where stress affects the mood. So the gastrointestinal tract, it's the most part to get affected. It causes, as you know, for a normal physiological function, all the nutrients to be absorbed properly. Here, only when the assimilation of the nutrients occurs in a body, the physiologically will be normal. But here, decreased in nutrient absorption occurs. And in the gut, mortality also changes. And the microbial flora in our intestine changes due to the effect of stress. And leaky gut. What does leaky gut means? The small thin layer of intestine gets damaged and the undigested food particle and the waste particles fled from the intestine to the bloodstream. It causes a very serious disorder. And muscle protein breakdown occurs. Muscle protein breakdown is a very important component for the muscle remodeling and to increase the muscle mass. But here it impairs. And bones. If you take bones, as I told you, all the nutrient absorption is slowed down and decreased absorption of calcium into the bone makes the weakened bones. And hormones, let us see the hormones in detail because the hormones are the main thing where the stress affects. And immune system, as I told you, when any particular stress occurs, the immune system slows down. The immune cells gets decreased, and hence the antibody production for a particular antigen slows down. And skin, see, normally skin is an indicator of any disorder. If there is any change in it physiologically, you can see clearly in your skin tone. So loss of moisture and loss of skin tone and any changes in the skin texture occurs when stress encounters. So this is a diagrammatic representation how the other organs gets affected when a stress encounters our body. Normally what happens, as I told you, amygdala sends a distress signal to the hypothalamus in the brain, and the hypothalamus stimulates adrenocortical tropic hormones, and the adrenal gland, a small gland above the kidneys, gets started secreting adrenaline and cortisol. This cortisol and adrenaline are called as stress hormones. So these are produced enormously, and at once adrenaline, it increases the blood pressure and increases the heart rate, whereas it pumps the blood in a high volume. So high blood pressure occurs. And moreover, as I told you, the decreased digestive system activity is seen. What happens is that the food cannot be digested properly because of the nutrient cannot be absorbed in a normal way. And moreover, since there won't be any good digestion, the metabolism will also be affected. But what happens due to the enormous energy mobilization, liver will go on converting glycogen to glucose. That is, glycogenolysis takes place. And moreover, these adrenaline, the main purpose of adrenaline, what it will do means, it will dilate the air passages and more carbon dioxide will be let out. That's the dilation of bronchioles occurs. So this particular slide I want you to share because I want you to know that the mind and body are interconnected, and that in the particularly stress, the mind and body has a more influence. This vicious cycle, what does means more negative things that is in a series of negative events happen again and again, and one event will support the other. Already one event occurs means that will support the other negative event, like that the cycle goes on. For example, when any particular problem in your life or traumatic events or any fear, anxiety occurs, now due to that anxiety, the sympathetic nervous system gets stimulated by the hypothalamus, and it increases the body tension, and you get pain in the upper body part, and also it reduces the nitric oxide. What does it do means, this nitric oxide is very important for the performance of exercises. When exercise intolerance occurs, the reduced nitric oxide occurs. And as I told you, hyperventilation occurs. That is, whenever as I told you, the adrenaline, it will move on, it will be dilating the bronchioles more and more, and what happens, the air passages get dilated and more of carbon dioxide will be let out. So what does it mean? Usually the Bohr effect. What is it, Bohr effect? That is the hemoglobin oxygen capacity, that is oxygen will be inversely proportional to the carbon dioxide concentration of the carbon dioxide and acidity. Hope you would have studied about buffering capacity of the blood, that is buffering capacity of the blood to maintain the constant pH of blood. So this what happened when excess of carbon dioxide is let out because of the adrenal mechanism. The ratio between the carbon dioxide and the oxygen, the exchange of gases gets affected, and hence severe alkalosis occur. It is called as respiratory alkalosis. So this reduced carbonic acid in blood can also cause the more and more of calcium excretion via kidney through the urine, and that leads to low calcium level. This Bohr effect can cause the smooth muscle contraction, the blood vessels and gut narrowing, all leads to tiredness, dizziness and tremblingness, which causes again the frightening symptoms and which causes anxiety. So this cycle goes on repeating. So these are the body changes which occurs. And now why these body changes occurs means because of the endocrinological changes. So I just want you to have an insight on the endocrinological changes. So biochemical stress, are any particular anxiety or acidity or nutrition deficiency or any other toxicity of substance occurs in the body means at once the signal is given to the hypothalamus, and cortisol, it is a stress hormone, cortisol and adrenaline is started secreting more. And this cortisol will also cause, what is the role of the cortisol? As I told you, cortisol is a stress hormone, and this increases the blood pressure, and also it increases the glucose metabolism. When glucose metabolism, that is glucose metabolism in the sense glucose metabolism cannot be regulated because it starts increasing the fat tissue, adiposity occurs. And when this occurs, since there is irregularity in the glucose metabolism, more and more of glycogen will be producing glucose. And when glucose is produced more, insulin starts secreting more. And this insulin, even there is more insulin, it cannot regulate the glucose level. I think you all know insulin is the main hormone which reduces the blood sugar. But here it causes the type 2 diabetes mellitus, and thus oxidative stress occurs in the tissues and blood. Oxidative stress is one important thing in the diabetes mellitus, and this oxidative stress can cause aging. What is oxidative stress? More number of reactive oxygen species occurs in the blood. And the same way, cortisol, as I told you, it increases the adiposity, and also it increases the cytokines, where what happens is that immune system gets affected. Those cortisol's one important function is to reduce the inflammation. but here due to immune cells gets affected, the immune system also get affected. These totally can cause the telomerase maintenance system to be repaired. Now what is this telomeres? I think you all know. They are DNA based protein which are present at the both the ends of the chromosome and which helps in the comprising of our nuclear material. But this telomeres maintaining system helps in the process of preventing the aging. That is, it helps to maintain the, it helps to prevent any unwanted recombination and other things. So what happened due to this excessive oxidative stress, the telomeres maintenance system gets damaged and the aging occurs rapidly. Now I just want to have a schematic diagram, stress encounters, and that it gives a signal to the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus stimulates the pituitary, releasing the ACTH hormone. This ACTH hormone stimulates both the sympathetic nervous system, secreting the catecholamines, epinephrine and norepinephrine, which increases the blood pressure, increases the heart rate, increases the breathing, and the blood flow changes and the muscle gets tensed. Simultaneously, it increases the endocrine system also. When it increases the endocrine, stimulates the endocrine system, stress hormone cortisol secretes more, which there the energy mobilization takes place to as a response to the stress, but inflammation is decreased. This is a diagrammatic representation of the same. See, when a stress encounters, here the car has been hit. So a cortex from the brain, cortex evaluates the stressor. So now what happens? The hypothalamus stimulates both the sympathetic nervous system in the right and pituitary gland in the left are stimulated. So the same way, epinephrine and norepinephrine are secreted more. It causes all the physiological function in the heart and the brain, and cortisol increases. It increases the fat deposits, it increases the energy resources, but it decreases the inflammation and swelling. Though it decreases the inflammation and swelling, due to the insulin resistance and other things, there is a healing slows down in the process. Now I just want to share the functions of the other hormones, how it get affected. As I told you, epinephrine is called the fight-flight hormone. Historically, it was named as fight-flight hormone. Why it is named as like that means, see, any particular unwanted thing happens, the situation is either you have to fight or you have to flee from that, escape from the situation. So, but now we can't do this in our day-to-day life, isn't it? Say, for example, you are going in a car or anything, you are in a heavy traffic and you want to reach a particular place at the correct time, and you are gotten and you're caught in the traffic. So either can you fight there? No. Or you can escape there? No. So you have to think and do it. But normally it is called as flight-fight hormone. And it increases the carbohydrate and fat availability, energy sources, and also it influences the sympathetic nervous system. And ACTH, as I already told you, it enhances the metabolism, and thus when the metabolism is enhanced, more energy stores will be available. And taking the hormones glucagon and insulin, as you know, insulin is the only hormone which decreases the blood sugar, but glucagon here increases the blood glucose because the energy resources needs to be there for fighting the situation. Another two hormones are angiotensin, which is called as the electrolyte balance. It balances the electrolyte. It is also increased. And mainly vasopressin, vasoconstriction. It constricts the blood vessels, and hence the pressure, blood pressure increases and heart rate increases. And here the same thing, to explain it in a more prompt way, there the signal is given from the hypothalamus, right? It stimulates the adrenal cortex to produce two hormones called mineralocorticoids and glucocorticoids. Mineralocorticoid, as an example, I can tell you aldosterone, which balances the water and electrolyte balance in our body. Whereas glucocorticoid, we can give examples as a hydrocortisol itself, which has an influence in the proteins and the fat metabolism, and it converts all this into glucose. So what happens, any substance, I think you know, protein or fat or any other substance can be converted to glucose by means of gluconeogenetic. So all these process leads to the increased blood glucose level, and the other function of this excess glucocorticoids, the immune system is suppressed. Mineralocorticoids in the same way, it retention of sodium ion and water balance in the kidneys, and thus it increases the blood volume and also the blood pressure. In the other way, the other stimulus is given to the nerve, sympathetic nerve cell, and from that adrenal medulla is stimulated, giving the catecholamine secretion. And here it will be a short-term response where it increases whenever adrenal is an increase. It increases first, it dilates the air passages, and it increases the blood pressure, it increases the heart rate, it increases the metabolic rate, and there will be a change in the blood flow patterns. Normally, you know the pattern of the blood flow from the heart to the lungs to the tissues, from the lungs to the heart, like that, but the pattern differs, so leading to decreased digestive and kidney property. So these are all the main impact, how the stress affects our body. I just want to tell now in the current situation, whether COVID-19 caused stress? Yes, because we have major problem now in the COVID-19. Each person has facing the challenge in a different way, but everybody are facing in some other way the day in our day-to-day life. For example, if you take the COVID-19 now at the pandemic situation, the more persons or they lack the knowledge about the disease and about the health behaviors also. More what the people do is, whenever they get fever or anything, they take medicines on their own, because of the they are thinking that if we go and test for anything, they'll be hospitalized, and hence they are taking their own medicine. And economic problems, this is the main problem nowadays. Many persons are losing their jobs, and hence the economic problem arises. And what happened every day, the inadaptability to the situation occurs. And moreover, you would have all experienced, normally we'll be having a more physical activity, but now what happens, the lack of physical activity leads to laziness and other things, and this leads to we are into in the home itself, but what happens, the psychological changes can occur. And impact of social media, it is the most important part in our life, isn't it? Without social media we can't live. That is our situation now. In that case, whenever we get WhatsApp messages, videos and everything, this can cause unknowingly stress in our body. And quarantine, many people are suffering from this. That is, only those people who can face it, who can easily go through it, only they are upcoming it. Or otherwise, if they are in a quarantine period, they get some mental problems. So all this fear, depression, trembleness can cause mental health, and at last it can cause the stress. So what we can do, we can have a good knowledge about the disease, what else it happens and other things, and we can also educate other people in our family and friends about the disease. So we can, if we are into our rules and if we follow the rules and regulations properly, and if we take the medicines and other things, we can easily come out of any particular disease. So I already told you about the exchange of gases gets affected the stress. Why I am here particularly I'm telling about this means, normally in the stress, in the COVID or anything, that is particularly the breathing problem occurs. This breathing problem is because of this hyperventilation. So any fear, see, any fear or grief or illness or any anxiety occurs means our oxygen carrying capacity slows down. So what happens is that, as our ancestors told, and as in our country we are following, it is better to follow this pranayama. That is, the unknowingly every day we are breathing in and breathing out, but that is not the case. That is what happens sometimes. Any particular grief happens, we be pushing out more and more of carbon dioxide out. That is called a hyperventilation. So more carbon dioxide loss also can cause fainting, trembleness, and other things. We can't decide properly. So what happens? More number of hyperventilation can cause us feel unwell, and again it can cause fear, trembleness. Again, more and more of hyperventilation occurs. It increases the symptoms of stress, and that goes on. So better processes, we should breathe in slowly, and then we should also breathe out very slowly. We should not be in a hurry to breathe out when we do this. So that's why I just want to show this particular cycle. So now we'll come to, I told you about what is stress and how the way we are going to think. The stress is also in two ways. It can be acute stress or chronic. Acute, short term. Chronic, it may be for a long time. So how we are going to manage this? Whether any particular treatment is there? See, this stress cannot be considered under medical diagnosis. And hence, the treatment means we should follow certain things. So it is not a particular treatment is there. First and foremost, we should know which causes worriness in our mind. That is, which is our stressor, or what, why are we stressed, or why we get worried, why we get fear always. So that we have to first identify what makes us more dull or what makes us not to perform properly. If we select and if we identify that, we can easily overcome it. So identifying of these roles at work, for example, if you are studying, so if you are, when you are at this, when you are studying or when you are studying for the exam, first and foremost, you should plan things and study. If it works on, you need not stress. In your life, if you take, then if you have a rapport with your parents, if you have a rapport with your brothers, sisters, siblings, and friends, then if there is any particular issue, we should sort out the issue at once itself with simple talking. Then that cannot cause stress. Financially, everybody has that problem. So that we have to sort out systematically. And too many commitments. See, normally a person can have only particular capability to do some work. If we go beyond the limits, then that may cause stress. So this stress management in your life can be done in many ways. For already I told you about the meditation. So this meditation depends upon what type of meditation you do, you can do. But deep breaths in and deep breaths out very slowly, that can be done. And exercise. See, exercise is a very good positive approach in our physiology. When we do exercise and we make it as a habit, automatically endorphin, that is we call as happy hormones, start secreting in our body. So whenever happy hormones secrete, our mood will be happy and all the day will be very happy. And time in nature, which can go for a walk, we can go for seeing of trees and other things. So that can be done. Sleep well, this is more important nowadays. As the young students, I believe, and that too in pandemic, you will all sleep late and get up late, isn't it? But that cannot be done, that should not be done, because we have our own biological clock inside our body. So only when we sleep, when we go to bed early and when we get up early, that we can do all other things proper in our life. And we should get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep regularly. Then only we can do our things properly. And connect socially. See, we are living in a society and we should have a good rapport in a society. So join in any movement, join in a simple movement like NSS, in even everything that can be done, and we can do small service to the society, which makes us very happy. Even you can teach others, that can also make you happy, isn't it? And eat well. This everybody tells us eat well, but eat balanced food. That balanced food, nutrient food, can cause our body in a good condition. And make list. This is what I experience in my life. So making list in the morning itself, what all we have to do, we can prioritize which can be done first, which can be done second. So in that case, we can also manage the time and we can give time to others also. And at the end of the day, you can make a tick mark so that you can have a fulfilling event that we have done all the works, and that we can achieve a lot in our life. So these again the stress management techniques, positive self-talk, that is we can do and we can also make others to do, and others deep, as I told you, emergency stress stoppers. Any particular situation occurs in our day-to-day life, you can give a deep breath inside and deep breath out, okay, and walk away. Otherwise what we can have, any situation whether we are not able to manage, that means we can just calmly walk away. That can also reduce our stress. So I need not tell you about your young students about to listen to music and other things. We always love to listen to music, isn't it? So we can have one particular thing and we can do that regularly. And reading books nowadays, it's gets reduced, but you can make that habit slowly. So you can have a good habit of reading books and practice relaxation in your own way. So individual stress management, you can the same thing, exercise regularly, practice healthy habits, be realistic. That is more important. See, we are not Superman or Superwoman. What we can do, only we can do, isn't it? That we can do in a good manner. So we can't think beyond our limits. So we should make it simple in a form to be realistic, and meditate, develop planning skills, and simplify your life. And that too in COVID-19 situation, the only thing is we should be simple and we also should help others. And avoid unnecessary competition. We are not running in a race. So even each one has their own life. That life can be led in a simple manner in their own way. And recognize your personal limits. If we can do, we can say yes. Otherwise, we can say no. And develop social support networks and enjoy what you do. When you do good things, we can enjoy. And go easy with criticism. This is more important. That is, whenever anybody scolds us, we get irritated, isn't it? Now, how do we get upset? Is that because of the scolding? That is, whenever we get upset, because it is upset because of ourselves. So whenever anybody criticizes and we are not done any wrong thing, we need not get stressed. Otherwise, only when it is any wrong thing in it, we can rectify it. So take time for your relaxation. So the work-life balance, that is for you have to give the now at the present situation, you have to give same time to your studies and also to your other networks. So how do you do? Only by planning you can do this. Systematic planning can help you to balance in both your work and in your life. See, for example, as I told you, family, friends, everything is important. Not only work gives us support, not only friends. Nowadays, that is, you young people, you give more importance to friends than in family. But it should be equal importance, because as I know, you can tell anything to your friends rather than the family. But you can choose any friend, any family member to share your unhealthy things or anything, so it will work. So always give time to friends, family, work in the same way, and also to yourself. We also to take care of ourselves, then it can have a good achievement. So already, as I told you, you can say no to certain things, because instead of telling yes and doing it wrong, it is best to tell no. So they won't even pester you to do that hereafter. And unplug when you leave work. That is, when you're this for you people, what you can do is, when you study, you should give full time to that. And when you give to family, you should give full time to that family. And you, as I told you, anything happens, you can share it. So they may give you any suggestion that you can improve from your stress. So systematically you should do it, and take care of yourself and physical activity, if everything, if it is done, you can get a good sleep. Good sleep helps to concentrate more in our next day project. So the key word is the balance. So what all we do, only if it is balanced, then we can have a stress-free life. So if you are doing something and if you are not working it, try again and do it in a correct way. And find the correct balance procedure so that you can balance all the things. That is called as the time management. When see why we get stressed, when we are not able to do any particular thing, when we are not able to adopt to any change. So the demand of change we are not accepting. So when we practice ourselves to adopt, to accept the change, then there won't be any stress and we can also have success in our life. So as the saying, there is no stress in the world, only people thinking stressful thoughts. Because of our thoughts, as I told you, thoughts have very big influence upon our action. So when we think good, we can do good and it will be a good change for others. So I just want to have an important thing about stress. For the all these time I've been telling stress does this, stress does like that. But do you know that we have called as positive stress? It called eustress. That is, we need, for example, you are preparing for an exam. If you are not at all worried, if you are not at all steady, if you are not at all touching a book, can we be success? So little stress help us to concentrate more. It will have a urge in us to do things, to achieve things. So some sort of pressure should be within us to achieve our goals. So if we see the good stress and bad stress, so what you have to do means you have to find the stress part. That is, in which part you get stressed. See, less stress, nothing, doing nothing also makes us boast. Making more things, more commitments, more changes. Also, what happens? It burn out and lastly we get streaked out. But within that, we have to find out our potential. That is, in which way, without the stress point, without any pressure, how we are going to do the things. That if you identify and if you reach that point, you can reach the potential and you can reach wonders in your life. Little stress also keeps us very dull. More stress makes your health harmful. But a little pressure with the planning and with good knowledge of everything can make you more success in your life. So, thank you very much for your patience listening.
Thank you so much, ma'am. It was really a wonderful session. Participants, if you have any queries, you can ask.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. Students, do you want any clarification or any questions? You can.
Hello, Meera ma'am. I'm Sandhya. How are you, ma'am?
Hi, Sandhya. How are you? Hope you are all fine.
Yeah, fine, ma'am. Yeah, fine, ma'am. Ma'am, I have a doubt.
Very
How could you differentiate normal
yes,
stress
please.
that is caused by the physiological one and the stress that is caused due to post-traumatic one?
Yes, pardon?
Stress that, how could you differentiate a normal stress and a stress
Hello,
that is
Sandhya.
caused by a post-traumatic event? Ma'am, could you hear me?
Yes,
Ma'am, are you
yes.
able to hear
Normal
me,
stress
ma'am?
and post-traumatic. Yes,
Yes, ma'am.
I can hear you. Yes. That is normal stress. As I told you, it doesn't mean normal stress, post-traumatic stress, let and all. See, anything happens, any unwanted thing happens. In what way we are taking that, what we see, each individual perceive it in a different manner. So normally means if anything, see, one particular thing happens, if accident happens, it can be one individual take it very serious, another individual take it very lightly, that he can think and do it. So there is no important like normal stress or anything else. whatever may be the thing, it is the individual response to the stress. So that by so life changes only we can see how the way we are particularly responding to that unwanted thing happens. Normal stress also, post-traumatic stress, anything. For example, as you told, normal things means, as I told you, accident or any particular exam tension or any like that we can take. But if any loss in our family or dear one death and other things, we cannot take it very lightly, as I told you. But slowly the time heals, the time can heal it. But within that time, we have to maintain certain things, that whenever again and again we are thinking the same thing, we are thinking and talking and the same thing, means that trauma can cause more stress in our body. So anything, any particular stress, it is the one how the individual takes it to the heart and how she responds.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Sandhya.
Ma'am, does stress have a genetic component involved, ma'am?
In stress,
Because you said it deals with brain, it does have
yes,
a psychological impact. So does it also have a genetic component involved, ma'am?
yes, as I told you, see, more and more chronic stress can cause the change in the telomere maintenance system, isn't it? So what happens is that this telomere maintenance system can be, the effectiveness of that can be reduced, and automatically the genetic component can be also affected, and that can be of a genetic level also. So we should be aging. That's why they told more and more worries causes wrinkles in our face, and also it causes aging. No, this is also one reason why the stress causes aging.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Da.
Any other various participants?
Hope it was an informative, because you would have come across more presentations and more about this stress and other things. So I just want to, because since in this COVID-19 situation, everybody has some other worries. So I thought it maybe we can give an insight about all these things. So thank you for your listening patience. Yes, Pa. Yes,
Ma'am,
Ma.
shall I answer the question, ma'am? Stress which is
Yes, Ra.
caused by mutation, genetic mutation, ma'am.
Hmm.
Could you explain this,
Yes.
ma'am? Stress which is caused by genetic mutation.
Yeah, this is, as I told you, since it is involved genetically. See, normally stress, as I told you, it is always this negative, this vicious cycle I told you. Series of negative events again and again if you take. As
Hello,
Sandhya,
hello, can you hear
Sandhya
me?
asked, for example,
Hello?
Sandhya asked, hello, yes sir. So whenever any particular stressor again and again goes on repeating, this may cause acute stress, means it's of a short-term response. Okay, so short-term response, it can be within a short time with the meditation or within a thing we can easily recover. Or when this goes on repeating, it causes chronic stress. This chronic stress have a very influence on the genetic material. And what happened, always I told you, the thought and other things also causes more physiological action in a body. This can cause even a fatal thing, that is, it can cause more ulcers, and more ulcers dramatically what happened, advanced ulcers can, chronic ulcers can also cause cancers. So this genetically, when it is mutated, goes on, only that particular patient has to be treated in a different way, where he has to first what kind of stresses he is encountering, and due to that how his body condition is impaired, then only we should know we can improve his treatment. Because normally stress means we can easily undergo, but chronic stress patients, as I told you, they'll become very violent and other things, because of all physiological things happen. So genetic mutations, due to this genetic mutations, what happens is that the stress will be more, and automatically it will lead to a fatal conditions also. So we have to take in consideration that particular thing to be very important and diagnose it. When we diagnose it, we should know what kind of stress they are undergoing. Okay,
Thank you, ma'am.
thank you.
Thank you, participants, for your queries. Now I call upon Subha Janani Ramesh to give away the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, all. Joy is the simplest form of gratitude, and gratitude is the sign of noble souls. Respected head of the department, Rajeshwari ma'am, honorable guest lecturer, Mrs. Meera Murugesan ma'am, respected organizing secretary and association convener, engineer Sridevi ma'am, our most invited guests, ladies and gentlemen. It's my privilege to have been asked to propose a vote of thanks on this occasion. I, Shubhajanani Ramesh, on behalf of MGR Educational and Research Institute and the Department of Biotechnology, here together extend a very hearty gratitude to our speaker for gracing this occasion and sharing with us your findings and opinions. We are grateful to our Honorable President, Engineers ACS Arun Kumar Sir and Engineer ACS Shanmugam Sir, President, and higher authorities for giving us a wonderful opportunity to organize such an informative event online. Further, I'd like to express our sincere thanks to Dr. Rajeshwari ma'am for this wonderful opportunity to host an event online and for her guidance. Our heartfelt thanks, I must mention, to our Mrs. Meera Murgesh ma'am for enlightening us with the science behind what really happens when we are worried. Thank you so much, ma'am. Learning
Thank you.
about stress and resilience was extremely profound and fascinating. Thank you for throwing light on mental health adversity during this pandemic. All of your stress reduction advice will be useful and beneficial to us. Finally, I would like to take this opportunity to place on record our hearty thanks to Engineer Sri Devi ma'am, the perfect support she has given us. I also extend my thanks to my fellow teammates for their enormous cooperation in organizing this event. I cannot thank anyone enough for their involvement and their willingness to take on the completion of tasks beyond their comfort zones. I must mention our deep sense of appreciation to my fellow students for their active participation and their unflinching support. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to state that we are most grateful to our speaker on the stage. Ma'am, we thank you for being with us this morning. It's been a great pleasure. Thank you very much.
Thank you all students. When I had a wonderful opportunity of interacting with you. Thank you all. Thank you Raji ma'am, and thank you Sridevi ma'am, and thank you. Once again I thank Dr. MGR Educational Research Institute for giving me a good opportunity. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Pleasure is ours to hear this wonderful talk regarding this biological perspectives of stress and resilience. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you Sridevi. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.